Hi, my name is Jill Paice. I'm the graduating class of '02 here at Baldwin Wallace University. I recently wrapped up a run of An American in Paris on Broadway where I was playing Milo Davenport. Before that, I was Miss Honey in Matilda. I've been on Broadway 5 times. I've toured, I've played the West End. I get around. So I got into musical theater because I had no friends, which is, we were moving around a lot, and we had settled in Dayton, Ohio, and from what I understand, my mother thought it would be a good way for me to meet people and maybe settle in a little bit, and so she took me to an audition for the High School Musical of Oklahoma, and I was so afraid and so scared, and I think you sat and watched other kids audition, so I think I got a little confident, and I think I sang along to like Fiddler on the Roof, Matchmaker, maybe with a record player, like who knows, it was so long ago. I got cast as just a towns kid, and I had the best time, and I think that's where it began. And from then on, I just wanted to do show after show after show. I didn't really want to do anything. I tried basketball, I tried soccer. It just wasn't going to feed me the way that I felt theater was going to make me feel full and in love and excited to be alive. So things I look forward to in my career are, I get really excited just to keep working. This business is so, it can be fickle, and you have high periods and low periods, and so for me, to continue to do good work is important. It's exciting to do new work, but sometimes it can be really satisfying to join a show that's already up and running, where you just kind of slip in and you don't have to worry about critics and opening nights. It can be terrifying because those people have already been doing it for 6 months and now you need to play catch up, but I feel like my training has taught me to know how to do a lot of that homework at home, and maybe I don't have to work as hard to catch up. As far as other goals, I don't know. It's really hard to lay out a 5-year plan in theater. My husband will often ask me, like, well, what if this hadn't worked out for you? What were you going to do? And my answer is still to this day, and it will be to tomorrow. Like, I don't know. I don't have a backup plan. This is what I do. Sometimes you have to wait for the work to come. It's why you save your money. It's why you try to be thrifty even when you are in a period of what feels like a great feast. So to keep working, to remain curious, to constantly be researching and collecting stories. I think one of my favorite things are podcasts and just listening to other people's stories and what informs them and what makes them who they are. I think my goal is to be as full of a human being as possible, if that makes sense, and as grounded as possible. So those are my goals. It's very important to be passionate about your work. I feel like no matter what field you're in, if this is something that you're gonna go and do every single day, you've got to have a love for it, and you can never be exhausted by it because, I don't know, it's your life, man. You only get one shot, and why not grab it and do what you want with it? Particularly in theater, as I've said, the highs are so easy. Life in New York is so easy when you have a job because it becomes your social circle and it becomes your money, and it feeds your self-esteem because you're like, I'm a working actor. You don't need the passion as much, but you do when you are not working, or maybe when it's a 12-show week over a holiday and you miss Christmas at home. Like, there's got to be something there, some relationship with what you're doing that is like, yes, I am sacrificing one thing, but this is still feeding me, and I still have energy to give to it. I love it so much that I am willing to devote myself to what I do. I apologize for being emotional. I first met Kyle, I guess it was the senior showcase. They came to New York, and Vicky had asked me to come and introduce them. And I remember walking backstage to meet everybody because that was my first time meeting the new class, and it was Kyle's class, and he was sort of back in a dressing room, and I had no idea who he was, and this enormous man comes like running towards me with all of this amazing energy, and he got down on one knee and he proposed to me. Which we all laughed about, and people in his class were like, oh my God, I can't believe you actually did it. And I said yes, and we probably would have had like an amazing life together. That was the first time I met Kyle. And I sat out in the audience for that showcase, and I watched him perform the number from Glory. And like, first of all, I probably elbowed my manager in the ribs and told him, like, get him, come on. Such a he was so grown up, which is ridiculous because he was so young. When you meet people like that who just have a zest for life and looking back on it and realizing how temporary it was. The second to last time I saw Kyle, he came to see An American in Paris. And he was at the stage door with Brandon. And I mean, I was so in awe of both of them and how talented they were, and they had just done their showcase, and they were so excited to be in New York and best friends and like hanging all over each other. And Kyle taught me the rap to Glory, and we rapped together, and I think Brandon filmed it, which means there's probably a really embarrassing video of me out there rapping. And the last time I saw Kyle was about 2 weeks before he died. And we met for coffee. And I picked the tiniest coffee shop, and he is the biggest human being, and he filled it. He'd been in Les Mis now for a while, and I think he'd gone on as Jean Valjean, and yes, because Cameron had been there, and he was just floating so high. And he like stood up and performed part of Les Mis, and I was so embarrassed because I'm quite quiet. And when we left, he gave me this hug that lifted me off the ground, probably by 2 feet, with my legs dangling there. And I hadn't known him for very long, but he told me he loved me, and we'd see each other soon. I mean, he was really going places. And I was kind of watching him with a cautious eye, because the business can be wonderful and terrible. And people will tell you that you are the next best thing, and then someone else comes along and suddenly all the attention goes there. So I just wanted him to be careful. And I wish now that I had just celebrated
he was incredible. And I didn't know him long, but he got into your heart and your soul, and he changed my point of view.
This is Jill Paice, and we're gonna get her to rap, all right? Hands to the heaven.
Hands to the heaven.
No man, no weapon.
No man, no weapon.
Formed against.
Formed against.
Yes, glory is destined.
Yes, glory is destined.
You're amazing.
Proud of you.
I hope we run into you again
Oh my God,
sometime.
me too.
Yeah.
I wish I was in your class. That'd be awesome.